Hello, this is Deep Thought, a series of vlogs slash podcasts slash summit film things where we talk about weird things that we find interesting. I'm Lucy and I'm a home educating mum.
I'm Merysa and I'm the home educated.
And we're going to roll the dice.
And I am the voice behind the camera.
And this is a 6-sided dice. We have 6 options of what we're going to talk about. Hopefully it will either be a 3 or a 4. Last time I rolled a 1, but then the video stopped working. So.
Yeah, technical difficulties. Right, go on. Okay, so just in case we have any more technical difficulties, what was number 1?
Number 1 is talking about mycology, the study of mushrooms. If you are not interested in this, feel free to click at one of our other videos.
Like and subscribe.
Not yet, that's at the end of the video.
Go on. So, mushrooms.
There are over 100,000 species
There are
discovered.
over 100,000 species of mushroom and fungi.
That have been discovered. And there's that at least estimated that number of mushrooms yet to be discovered.
Okay. And what makes a mushroom a mushroom?
It is neither plants nor animal. And generally it's either a fungi or some sort of bacteria.
Okay. And tell me about mushrooms then.
You have 3 main parts. You have the cap and the stalk, which is both parts of the flowering fruit body, which appear during the autumnal season. And then you have the mycelium, which exists all year round, and they grow, and they hibernate, and you have ones that work with plants, like a symbiotic partnership, and you have parasitic fungi that basically destroy plants. Many major pests of our crops are fungi. Not all, but some. And then you have the ones who...
Did you have a thought?
I had a thought and it went. The ones who are parasitic and then they feed off the remains also. You have the ones that symbiotic and they both live. Then you have the parasitic ones. You also have ones that only feed on dead things. They are the recycling company, if you will, of nature.
Okay. Why are mushrooms so important? Why is fungi so important?
Because they are, like I said, they're the recycling company. They're the reason that waste doesn't just sit there. That it rots and then becomes compost, which then leads to new life. Because without that, then it would just be pile upon pile upon pile of life, and mushrooms decompose it.
Okay.
The voice behind the camera interrupts with, you said mushrooms come in 3 parts. The stem and cap, being the part of the fruiting body, the mycelium. What's the 3rd part? Or is the stem and the cap is what you meant by...
Yes, that is what I meant.
Ah. I'll shut up.
What else? Mushrooms.
In terms of spore release, there's only 2 major methods that are used throughout most of the kingdom, or rather most of the species. That is using it's called... The group of which do this particular kind of method of spore dispersal are called gastromycetes, and they are like common puffballs or truffles. Everything's enclosed, but should it be disturbed, then the spores will release. Like if you poke a puffball and you see like a small cloud of smoke, that will be all the spores releasing from tiny pores. And the other one, you have hymenomycetes, which is like common button mushrooms. Uses thin gills, which you see in most button mushrooms and
Field
many
mushrooms
other
and
field mushrooms like that. In between the gills, you have little spore-producing cells, and when the spores are ripe, they are released down the gills and blown away by the wind.
Okay. Why do you find mushrooms interesting?
Because they're so diverse. I mean, so is every other aspect of life, but that in particular, it interests me. Seeing as I used to not like mushrooms very much. I'm still not the biggest fan, but I'm getting better at them.
Well, do you think, I find the thing interesting about mushrooms is that what you see is the tiniest part of it. It's like an iceberg in the water, in so much that the bit that you see is the very smallest amount of it. And they have interesting properties. What things are mushrooms being used for nowadays? Modern ideas about mushrooms, how they can...
Well...
thanks, Bailey.
We're ill right now, and we're actually taking pills that were created from mushrooms, because penicillin is a type of mold, which is a fungus.
Oh, thanks, mushrooms.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
In terms of properties...
I mean, things like, I know that they are being used in terms of, for some ideas about packaging and for...
Yes, they are being used for packaging. Some companies have used a mixture of oyster mushroom spores and sawdust or hamster bedding. They've patted it into molds, or rather they've wet it, patted it into molds, and then left it in a warm, dark environment. And the mycelium, and it's being used in place of polystyrene in some places. The mycelium bind it all together till it's a hard but firm, lightweight block that you can use for packaging. And if you can get the mould, then you can do it for virtually anything.
What do you think about the way that they can eat pollution, the way that they can purify sort of soil and things?
It would be very nice if more people grew mushrooms and understood that they are incredibly good for the environment. I'm not saying that a houseplant isn't good for the environment, but both is awesome. Lady, why do you have to pummel us? Not nice. So yeah. What else do you want to know about?
What's the best environment for mushrooms to grow in then? Or do they grow anywhere?
It depends on the species, but normally dark is good, and damp. If it's dry and bright, probably not likely. But when I take out the dog, I sometimes do see mushrooms at the right time of the year. I mean, occasionally I may see one, but the mushrooms do grow, and they're just the grassy bits. So, as long as it's damp, this is not an actual fact, this is an estimate, pretty much anywhere. Especially on bread.
Yeah, it goes on bread very well. Anything else you want to say?
If this is all that I can think of right now, which it is, then there are only two things I would like to say. Like and subscribe and leave a comment. Tell us what you think.
That was Deep Thought. Thank you very much. Bye!